Okay, in this video I'm going to do the quiz activity that was done in class. So this was a very nice activity. It covers 4.1 and 4.2 material. So let's look at the first problem. They want us to solve for x. I see I have a right triangle, and I know the remaining angles inside the right triangle have to sum to 90 because every triangle has 180 degrees. So take 70 plus x plus 31, that has to equal 90. Add 70 and 31, and you get 101 plus x. Subtract 101 from both sides, and you get x is negative 11. That is your answer for x. Check out the boxes, and yep, there you have an answer of negative 11. If you plug a negative 11 in here, you get 20 for this angle. 20 plus 70 is 90, plus another 90 is 180. I know that that is a correct answer. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Looking at the triangle in number 2, what I see is I have two angles that are 60 degrees. So I know that all three angles inside a triangle have to sum to 60. So 60 plus 5x equals 180. Add the 60s, you get 120. Subtract 120 from both sides, you get 5x equals 60. Over here, I took the 60 and I divided it by 5. 5 goes into 6 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. And then bring down the 0. 5 goes into, and then do the subtraction. 5 goes into 10 two times. My answer is 12. So if I put a 12 right here, I'm going to get 5 times 12, which is 60. So I have an equiangular triangle that sums to 180. So I know I have that correct. So my answer was 12. Okay, let's go on and do the next one. And maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger for us. Okay, so let me just move things around a little bit so it's easier for us to see. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so what I'm seeing is I have a 3x plus 3 here, I have a 4x plus 3 here, and I have a 125 here. So they want me to find the measure of angle A. Angle A is where the 3x plus 3 is. It's where I highlighted it in pink. So the first thing I want you to do is see if you can get an expression or a value for every angle inside this triangle. So the angle above is 125. Because this angle is vertical to it, it also is 125. This angle down here is 4x plus 3, and this interior angle is also 4x plus 3 because it's vertical to that angle. So now what I have is I have three angles inside this one triangle. And therefore what I know is 3x plus 3 plus 125 plus 4x plus 3 has to sum to 180. Combine like terms. 3x and 4x is 7. 125 plus 3 plus 3, so that's 125 plus 6, is 131. That's going to equal 180. Subtract 131 from 180. I did that down here for you. And I'm going to get 49 for an answer. 7x equals 49. Divide 7 into 49, and that's a multiplication fact. That is 7. So notice that 7's not a choice. And the 7's not a choice because they want the measure of angle A, and I have to plug in 7 where the x is in angle A to get an answer. So 7, so 3 times the 7 is 21, plus 3 more is 24, and 24 is my answer. Moving to number 4. Employ the same strategy we just used. See if you can figure out, they want us to find the question mark angle. So we're going to play around with what we have. This is vertical to this angle. Make this a 50 right in here. These two angles are a linear pair. So therefore, this is going to be a 30, because 30 plus 150 is 180. So now I have 50 and 30, that's 80. This has to be 100 so that I have 180 degrees in a triangle. If this is 100, then this is 100 because it's vertical. And now I have 100 and I have 42 and I have a question mark. So this is the third angle theorem. If I know two of the angles in the triangle, I can figure out the other one. So 100 plus 42 is 142. 180 minus 142 is 38. And 38 is my answer. Okay, so come down to the next problem, one number 5. So you have a lot of triangles going on here. Let's play around with the numbers and see if we can find values. So, let's see where I want to start, right here. I have a 30, I have an 80, so that is 110. I need this to be 70. Okay, so now this is something we haven't seen before, and that's why I did these 3 stars on top. We have 3 angles, not 2, that are going to sum to 180. So 70 plus 76 will get me 136 over here. So 136 taken away from 180 gives me 44. So now I know that this angle is 44. They told me this angle was 54. Let me do this for a sec. So I'm going to add 44 and 54, and I get 98. In order to get the question mark angle, I'm going to subtract the 98 from the 180 degrees I know is in a triangle, and I get 82. So this angle up here, the question mark angle, is 82 degrees, and I'm all set. Okay, moving down to question 6. Find the measure of the indicated angle, and what's happening here is that in the top triangle, I have a 40 and a 20. So 40 and a 20 is 60. So that means that this must be 120. This must be 120. And this was 40. So 40 and 120 is 160. Therefore, this is 20. So people in class, when we did this, said 20 right away. Well, that's true if, and only if, these two lines are parallel, which I didn't know. So since I found it is 20, I found that those angles are parallel, and these two angles here and here are alternate interior, so that's why they're the same. I think what you want to do with this, though, is do the third angle theorem, and don't assume parallel lines if they haven't told you. Okay, so these little markings I put in. So I got 20 degrees doing the third angle theorem. Okay, that brings us to number 7. Number 7 says find the measure of the indicated angle. So that's the question mark angle. So once again, do the third angle theorem. If you know two angles, add those two angles together. I got 46. Subtract the 46 from 180. I got 134. That's going right here. 134 is vertical to this other angle over here, which makes that 134. So now I have 134 and 26. So I subtracted 134 from 180, and I got 96, I believe. Let me just make this bigger. No, I got 46. So 180 minus 134 gave me 46. Subtract away the 26, and that gives me a remaining angle of 20. So this angle is 20. Let me make it smaller again. So that angle is 20, and that's my solution. Okay, moving on to number 8. So number 8, you have to find the question mark angle, which is at angle S. And the key is a couple of things. This is an exterior angle. If you know this is an exterior angle, then you know it equals the sum of the remote interior angles. Here's a 60. This has to be 60 also, so that you can say 60 plus 60 is 120, and it matches this. So that's using the exterior angle equals the sum of the remote interior angle. The other way you can do this is if this is 120, because these two angles are linear pairs, this has to be 60. If this is 60 and this is 60, that's 120. I need 60 more degrees. Either way, I get A to equal 60 degrees, and that is my answer. Continuing on to question number 9. Here's another one that I have no option, I don't believe, but to do the remote interior exterior angle, or at least to recognize it. So here's your exterior angle. Here's the remote interior. So what I know is that 81 plus B will give me 117. So what I want to do is a couple of things. So I want to find B. So B is going to equal, I think I found it by saying that in a triangle I have it 180 degrees. So I know that 117 and A will be a linear pair. So 117 taken from 180 gives me 63. This is 63. Now I know two angles. I can figure out the third. So 81 plus 63 is 144. Take the 144 away from the 180, and we get an angle for B of 36. 36 is my answer. Okay, so again, I could have used the remote interior sum equals the exterior, or I could use the exterior angle and the interior angle right here, or a linear pair, and then use that information to solve for B. When we get to 10, I have limited options because I have limited values. Here I have no option but to say 3x plus 2 plus 70, those are my remote interior angles, has to equal 9x plus 6. So here's where I write that. 3x plus 2 plus 70 equals 9x plus 6. So I'm going to get numbers on one side and variables on the other side. You can see the steps I took. I'm left with 66 equals 6x. Divide both sides by 6. I have x equals 11, and there we have it. Okay, so that was using the property that remote interior angles, the sum of those equal your exterior angle. Okay, going on to number 11. Number 11 is a right triangle because this little box is here. So go ahead and put your 90 degrees next to that. So what I know now is that all of these angles have to add up to 180. So 90 plus 20 plus 6x plus 16 equals 180. Combine 90 and 20 and you get 110 plus 16 plus 6x equals 180. Combine 110 and 16 and you get 126 plus 6x equals 180. Subtract 126 from both sides. We have 6x equals 54. Divide both sides by 6. We have x equals 9, and that's my answer. The remaining problems are classifications. They want us to classify this triangle by its sides and by its angles. So the first thing I noticed was that it was a right triangle. So I came down here, and I could eliminate A and B because they don't speak to right triangles. Then I'm going to look up, and I'm going to see I have these hash marks. Actually, I have these little angle hash marks. What I taught the class is that if you have equal angles, the sides opposite them are also equal. So I put these little hash marks here. That makes it an isosceles triangle. So the best answer is that this triangle is right and isosceles. Because remember, I'm classifying it by both sides and angles. So I've got to have two words. Okay, this next one, I see that the different sides have different markings. So that indicates that it is scalene. So I can either have this answer or this answer. Then I look at this angle right here, and I see that's greater than 90. So really, obtuse scalene is the expression that best describes this triangle. Okay, a couple of more classifications. Okay, here I have a right angle, and I have equal sides. So that makes this right isosceles. Question 15. If a triangle has all three angles equivalent and all three sides equivalent, what type of triangle is it? So I drew it here, and what I see is that it is an equilateral triangle. Here's all three sides. That's the best answer. It's not obtuse. It could be technically acute isosceles, but equilateral is probably the best answer. So I've picked equilateral. Okay, and here comes 16. Classify this triangle. The second I see the angle of 125, I know it's obtuse. And I have equal sides, so it's obtuse and isosceles. Okay, 17. What they're showing me is that all the three sides have different lengths. So I put 3 different types of hash marks on it. And then I look in the corners, and all the angles are different, and they're all less than 90. So the 3 different sides makes it scalene. And the fact that they're less than 90 makes it acute. So acute scalene is the best answer. So I think this is a very good review. Feel free to go through it again, a little slower, and make sure that you understand the concepts that are being covered.